the Nordstream pipeline was blown up, and the mainstream media, the Western mainstream media, has accused Russia. They sort of indirectly accused Russia because they're very shifty. They sort of implied in their news reports that it was Russia who did it. They said, in the news reports, they said, oh, you're going to hear now, Russia isn't claiming responsibility. And it's like, yeah, like what they should say is, we think Russia did it, but they're not admitting to it. But they don't even say that. They say Russia isn't claiming responsibility. It's all shifty lawyer talk. I mean, this is like lawyers have scripted this shit. It's just so shifty how the words they use, the language and all this sort of stuff. It's so calculated, and it's war propaganda. Anyway, this is a big gas pipeline that runs from Russia to Germany, and it gives Europe gas. And it's been blown up. And the reason why it seems like America has done it is because, which I'm going to play later, there's numerous instances of America saying that, you know, we're not going to let this pipeline operate or something like that. And Russia, it's important to have that pipeline because it helps them get money, which they can then use to fund the war. But also, it's a way that they can pressure Germany to stay out of the war. They can say, look, Germany, we'll cut your gas if you don't, if you keep on fighting this war and supporting Ukraine. So the gas is being used as a way to manipulate things and stuff. And looking at it, there doesn't seem to be a reason for Russia to blow up their own pipeline. Like, they're benefiting from it. And if they wanted to stop that gas going to Germany, they wouldn't blow it up. They would say to Germany, we're cutting the gas until you stop giving weapons to Ukraine. Do you see what I mean? But they haven't done that. And also, before it blew up, there was the supply had already been cut in half because they couldn't find, Russia couldn't get the technology to repair machines and stuff, because machines were coming from Western countries, and the Western countries were saying, no, you can't get those machines. So Western countries were stopping the repairing and maintenance of the gas line, and then suddenly now it's blown up. So clearly the West didn't want that gas, and we have the American government saying that they're not going to allow this pipeline to go through, right, which I'm going to play, right? So they've basically, they've done it, they've done a crime, they've cut the supply of gas. They're not admitting to it. They're not saying, look, we had to do it for wartime, because of the war. They're not admitting to it. The people in Germany are going to have to pay way more in gas this winter and stuff. It's going to make their electricity, their energy prices go up, right? And it's because of damn well America and Britain and stuff. And they're not admitting to it. And then when it happens, they instantly pump out news reports saying Russia isn't claiming responsibility for blowing up the pipeline. And it's like, they're instantly saying, it's like you go and you steal your friend's car, and then you straight away make a post saying, oh my God, Jim's car has been stolen. Sarah's not claiming responsibility for stealing the car. And it's like, you stole the car all along. Like, it's such shifty tactics, right? But people in Europe realize this, that your fucking war has caused this problem with electricity prices and gases and stuff, and you should demand your countries to stop it with the war stuff. And it's sad because it's the poor people, the middle people, the average person who has to put up with this shit, you know? Anyway, it's just outrageous, because I mean, imagine you go and blow a freaking gas pipeline. Would you be able to get away with that? Imagine how much trouble you would get if you blew a major gas pipeline going to a country, right? You would get like life in prison or something, right? But when a government does it, they can get away with it, you know, and it's just outrageous. Anyway, when you know what's going on in the world and how shifty things are, you watch a news report and you don't get tricked by it. Like, Russia's not claiming responsibility. Like, in the past, you'd be all confused. Now I can see through it all and go, oh no, I know why. Like, this is all propaganda. It's war propaganda. And it's like, it's manipulation and not telling the whole story. And we're living in 1984, and a lot of people don't even know it. Anyway, here's this news report about the gas pipeline.
European countries are urgently ramping up security around oil and gas infrastructure in the wake of suspected sabotage of two major underwater pipelines connecting Russia and Germany. Moscow has denied responsibility for the leaks. It's called for an urgent UN Security Council meeting to discuss the damage.
For 3 days now, hundreds of millions of cubic metres of natural gas has been pouring into the Baltic Sea. Still too dangerous to repair, experts say huge volumes of methane are being pumped into the atmosphere.
The situation since the gas leak was discovered remains unchanged. It continues to bubble. We have had contact with Nordstream, and the latest forecast is that the release could start to slow by Sunday.
The European Union has called the incident an act of sabotage. Germany refusing to be drawn on whether the CIA warned it about a possible attack months ago.
As a matter of principle, we do not comment on possible warnings and intelligence. According to our findings, there is no evidence that there is a natural cause in the pressure drop in the pipelines.
An investigation is underway, and the EU is promising the strongest possible response if a deliberate attack is proven. Russia says accusations it may have destroyed its own infrastructure are stupid and absurd, instead pointing the finger at the US. But Washington denies taking measures which would harm some of its closest allies.
I will say that attacks on critical infrastructure of our European and NATO allies is a matter of concern for us.
Norway deploying the military to protect its gas and oil infrastructure.
We have no concrete indications that there are any direct threats against Norwegian oil and gas installations, but energy companies and authorities are cooperating to boost security.
The damaged pipeline was closed down by Russia weeks ago, ostensibly for maintenance, but analysts have accused the Kremlin of weaponizing its gas supplies against the West over its support for Ukraine.
Even the threat of being able to do something like that would be a serious escalation.
European gas prices have jumped more than 12% since the leaks were discovered. Protests like this one in Prague over soaring energy bills becoming more regular as the impacts of Russia's invasion of Ukraine continue to disrupt global markets. Cassandra Bain, SBS World News.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to play something by Mike Adams, the health ranger, about what he thinks about it, and it's basically American politicians basically saying that this pipeline won't. Anyway, you just got to hear it. Like, it's just, we know who did it. We know who did it. Yet they'll be accusing Russia of being a terrorist state when bloody well America and that would blow up a pipeline, and it's outrageous. So anyway, listen to this.
I'm going to play some videos for you, which will lead us to the astonishing conclusion here. The first video is a video from none other than fake President Joe Biden, talking about Nord Stream 2. Let's see what he had to say about it earlier this year.
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Okay, so, I mean, we know who did the bombing. It's pretty obvious, you know? I mean, this is why when you look into the world, it's chronic conspiracies. It's just conspiracy, non-stop. It's just everywhere conspiracies. It's always happening, okay? It's just how Earth operates, you know? And it's just like, do people eat breakfast? Yeah. People eat food. That's what it's like, conspiracy. It's like the food of humans. They're just continually doing conspiracies. Even like the death of like Michael Hutchins. Firstly, it seems questionable how he passed away. But secondly, right, the way that they report on it, the government report on Michael Hutchinson's death, he's the singer of In Excess. They don't say, they're just not honest. They don't say, look, we've looked at it and we think it could be a suicide, but we don't really know. They don't say that. They don't say that. They go, we looked at it and nothing's suspicious and we think it's suicide. And then the judge says, you hear what the judge said about it? I think it was the judge or the coroner, and they go, no, I'm quite satisfied that this is suicide. And then you look into it further and you go, why do they make such statements like that? I mean, the family didn't say that, you know, like you look into all the reasons, you're like, no, the truth is you just don't know. Say that, say you don't know. And then you wonder, why aren't they just saying, look, we don't know? And you find out that the police basically either they're in on the conspiracy to kill him, which I don't think is the case, but they have enough on their plate to deal with. And for political reasons, they had to just bullshit to the public. Like they've got enough deaths that they know are murders that they can't even find the murderer, let alone saying, you know, Michael Hutchins might have been murdered, we don't even know. Then they'll have all this pressure to investigate Michael Hutchinson's murder. They know there's like barely any evidence, so it makes them look unprofessional. They've got enough on their plate to deal with, so they're all just like, okay, we're just going to go with the story that this is just suicide, and then the judge or the coroner are like, yep, this is suicide, and we're going to stick with that because it's just easier. So do you see how it's like that's not like really a conspiracy? That's just being deceptive and lying for practical purposes. But the world is full of that. It's constantly happening. Politicians do it all the time. The coroner does it. These judges do it. The police do it. People aren't honest. You know what I mean? If I was a cop, I would stand there. I'll go, yeah, the family think it's a bit strange. You know, I looked at it. I think it's a bit strange as well, how he passed away. You know what I mean? Someone could have murdered him. They could have. I mean, you could do it in a way that tricks people and makes it look like he committed suicide. Yeah, we don't really know. And then on the death certificate, I would put possible suicide. We don't know. I mean, that's honest. That's what went on with Michael Hutchinson. That's what you say, you know. But for other reasons, they just lie, and they decide like, oh, we've got to go with nut. We reckon it's suicide. So this is why I think it's strange, because before the guy hasn't even been dead for 24 hours, and they say, no, there's nothing suspicious and it's suicide. And it's like, that's too quick to call that. And then you find out what happens when someone actually dies. Because I've had a family member who's died, and I've seen the process of how the police come and all that sort of stuff. They basically rock up when the person's died, and within that few hour period, they literally have to decide whether or not it's a murder, basically. And depending on how busy they are, how many things they have to do and stuff, what evidence is around, they decide on saying it's suicide or a murder at that point. Like, honestly, like literally, like they, in that period, like in that 3 hour period, right? Because they might actually get there and look and go, oh, this actually might be a murder, but there's barely any evidence, but it just wouldn't surprise me, but there's not enough, and we could spend months investigating this and it could all be a waste of time, and we don't have enough resources, so look, we're just going to have to say this is suicide. You know what I mean? It's probably not, but we'll just say it's suicide, and then they tell the judge, look, we're running with it, suicide, it makes it easier, and then the judge goes, nah, there's just suicide, and then it's a clean-cut thing of, ooh, it's suicide. But all the people involved who were there, they actually know that there might actually be more to it. So the reason why I get upset is because you look into things and you look up, I don't know, the Wikipedia or whatever, and it would say, no, nothing suspicious, it's suicide or whatever. That's not the truth. It's just the level of truth is so small in this society. It's just constant deceptions and lies. Say the truth. Say, look, we don't know. Say that. I would much rather see a Wikipedia page saying, look, we don't know. And there should be tons of people's death reports, tons of them that should say we don't know. But they're forced into these categories, right? Because of just logistics and shit like that. It's bullshit. That's why I'm saying everything in this world is fake. It's just so much shit is fake. You know what I mean? Like John Lennon sings in that song. I don't remember, but John Lennon's like, nothing is real. Like, you know how John Lennon sings, "Nothing is real," or something like that. There's some line in the song, and it's just right. That's the truth. Like, so many things aren't what they seem.